The book's titled Love, Grief and Fury, and I'm probably going to leave you with some fury now. Right, this piece is called Dirty Old Men. Teenagers are told they're too young to vote. Hang on. Teenagers are told they're too young to vote, but they're old enough to serve the desires of oligarchs and dirty old men. They're told they're too young to be valid, too young to be justified in their protest, and too young to buy booze, too young to know their own identity and to choose their love, their sex, their gender, their future, too young to demand their freedom, too young to choose their gods and monsters, too young to protest, but old enough to flee war and cross continents. And old enough to wash up dead on beaches, and old enough to be put in cages at borders, and old enough to be a child bride, and old enough to fend for themselves in refugee camps, and old enough to walk past and ignore as they beg for change in a doorway, and old enough to be a soldier, old enough to die in futile wars for the profits of dirty old men. Teenagers are told they're too young to vote, too old to be taken. Teenagers are told they're too young to vote, but they're old enough to be taken, old enough to be devoured, old enough, too old to be acting so innocent, too young to be so big for their boots, but old enough to be the man of the house, and old enough to know that they need to hide and run from dirty old men. Teenagers are told they are too young to vote, but they're too young to carry this burden of being vilified and objectified by dirty old men who want to eat them, have them, own them, fuck them. Old enough to bleed, old enough to breed, says the dirty old man, rubbing his knobby vein, greasing his loathe with Vaseline, slathering his throbbing entitlement and his hemorrhoids and his purple bulbous ego as a weeping mother in mourning makes good morning telly, use her floods of tears as lubricant for dirty old men. And teenagers are told they're too young to vote out the filth, too young to vote against dirty old men. With their dirty old man club and their dirty old man jokes, with the dirty old man bad breath and their filthy, outdated mentality. Dirty old men tradition, dirty old men sucking cigars, dirty old men falling asleep in the Houses of Parliament and forever making the same pathetic excuses and keeping the same handshakes and open secrets, the same slipping through loopholes of justice, hiding in plain sight, hiding behind the lies that dirty old men have used for centuries. As they eat the young with their stale yellow teeth, as they stamp on hope and burn down love, leaving disease and conflict on tomorrow's doorstep for future teenagers to protest, who will also be told they're just teenagers and too young to vote out the same dirty old men in a stinking circle of dirty old men who are just too old and too sad and too mean. You see them scratching each other's interests and investments with their filthy fingernails caked in grotesque shitflakes of corruption and greed and virus and death. Look at the dirty old man's hands clawing at the young flesh of your sons and daughters on super yachts and private jets, fingering the keyboard seeking hot teen loves it. See their guilty hands flecked with liver spots, stained with the blood of children who are never allowed to be safe to be children. Stained with the blood of children who are never allowed to be safe to be children. Stained with the blood of children who are never allowed to be safe to be children. Children being children. Children being children. Children just being teenagers. Thank you very much.